now. YouTube keeps blocking me because no one's looking at the... Because I want to stream it. I want everybody to see it. Alright, I'm going to get started. Nope. Alright, let's see. Got desk. Let's see how fast I can get this done. Got my USB. We're going to crack this on open. Same old USB that y'all have previously. See if I can get that in focus at all. And what I need to do as the police go by outside is I need to just get a basic outline of this thing so I can start to model it. And when I look at this, there's going to be a little tiny lip there. I can barely use that. I should probably mark these with Sharpie just so y'all can actually see them. Alright, just from loads of experience, that's going to be 12 millimeter. Turn this guy on, and we got 14.79, so 14.78. Or 14.8. Oops. This guy right here, I can get tiny lip is 1 millimeter. This right here, let's assume that's 1.5. So all I'm trying to do right now is get all the critical measurements of my USB. So I can take a sketch and put it into Onshape. So this dimension there, let's just assume if this was a rectangle and didn't have like a little cutout on the edge of the board, 26.35. Make it 26.4. 2.96 for the little nubbin on the end. So let's just round up to 3 maybe. And then this gap back here is 8.2. This may be boring to some of you because you've already gotten thus far through the project and doing all the sketch part, but I'm just doing this because I need to do it, and it'll be nice to have on a video in the future. So if we look at this, we'll make it nice and big now. And I don't think I can get my camera any closer. 12 millimeter, 14.9. That's going to be 1 millimeter. .5 millimeter. Is Haiku even working still? What's it saying? I can't look at it right now. No, I'm just doing this drawing. Is it giving you like an error? Is it just giving you an error? I take the solder out of this connection up here, I can get more depth. I don't think you're going to be able to see that. I can get a little bit more of my notch. But let's just assume that's 0.5 millimeter depth. Okay. So, got a drawing. Hopefully this thing's actually recording. It would be a shame if it was not. So I'm using OSB. I'll bring it in actually so y'all can see it. It's what streamers use. Are you on my stream, Caesar? You should get on it. Alright, so now what I'm gonna do, hop into Onshape. And we can start a sketch. So what I am going to do, let's start it with a construction line. Doesn't matter where we go. Hit escape. And we'll draw half of this thing. So I should just be able to do boom, 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 boom. Ooh, I don't like that line. That's not a line that I like either. I don't want them to intersect with anything else. This intersection's cool, this projection right here, the yellow line, but with the origin or any of the planes, no bueno. Alright, so got half of my board. It's not perfect, but it'll do for now. We can dimension it. And if we look on what I can do, maybe can I add a video capture? I'll add the document camera. What I need to do is dimension all these. Should probably get a mouse that doesn't click as much, eh? It's got that width, this depth here, this dimension. Alright. Alright, so this is going to be 6 if it lets me do it, but what's it constrained by? Ooh. Alright. Draw a new line here because I don't feel like playing with the constraints. Alright, so that's 6. This right here, according to my doc, is 14.9. Let's just make it 15. Let's just round up. This is going to be 1. This right here is 1.5. The notch width is 1.9. Let's just make it 2. Depth, I think I said 0.5. Yes, correct. $26.4 for that. 3? Yeah, 3 for the back notch. Ooh, and let's just delete these and redraw. Alright, so line, enter, enter, enter. What do you not like? 0.4. That's actually kind of right, so we'll work with it. This needs to be different though. What did I say the depth was? I don't think I measured it. Three. Okay. So make that 3. And let's just close the sketch, take a look at it. That looks way too big. My little notch. And I don't know if you can see it that well in the stream or not. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hop back in there. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller because I'd probably round it up. We'll make it 1.7. And folks stopping through, glad you're able to make it. Hopefully I'll be able to post this stuff later. And I got like 9, between like 9 and 12 people are usually on. Anybody who's, yeah, some of them are following me. I mean, if you're one of my students, just check the email for the Google Meet. We have a chat going on there. All right, so I think this drawing's good. We'll leave USB here and we'll come back to this drawing later. And we can turn this off and go. No, we want that. We don't want that. There we go. Cool. All right, so got our USB, got half a USB, looks decently okay. We have our construction line here, so we're going to use mirror. Select the mirror line, and we are going to mirror everything around. And we start getting a closed shape. Alright, so now we have something we can start thinking about extruding. I've only done that top view of the circuit board. So let's just rename the sketch. Top view USB PCB. Now I got this. We're gonna take some guesses here. Don't really feel like measuring too much more from our USB. We'll Shift D, extrude this guy here. Don't need it to be 25. This is our circuit board port. If I remember, they're 4.5 millimeters. We'll check that in a little bit. And we'll just make that a new extrusion. Turn our sketch back on, make a second extrusion for our circuit board, and we'll make it 1.5. That's just a guess right now. That's a little too thick in real life, but it'll account for whatever's on the board. So if I turn on my dot camera again, in order for this thing to actually fit in a case, I need to transform the PCB. so that it's not at the bottom of the circuit board. So let's hop back into Extrude 2. Those of you that are pros, should have been an Extrude New. And if I get my handy dandy calipers back out again. I can kind of just depth gauge one of the sides from the circuit board to the circuit, not the circuit board, the port, and that's like 1.4 millimeters. So hopping back into Onshape, we're going to use transform. And again, this is kind of boring for some of you that have already done this. Hopefully we'll get into the meat and potatoes of designing the case in a minute. I want to transform the circuit board up, and I'm going to translate it by XYZ. That allows us to move it in one of the 3 axes. And I said 1.4, we're going to move it 1.4 up in the Z, so I can just type 1.4 here, hit the check. And then we have something roughly resembling our circuit board. It's not perfect, but it's darn close. And for this, we'll keep it kind of chunky monkey. By that, like, I'm not going to put any details into it. What I do want to do is one last just overview check. From front to back, it's about 45 millimeters, really 44.9, but who knows if I'm holding it in an angle or not. Alright, so put that away, turn this off. I really hope this thing's recording. No, I'm doing the Twitch for a while. So, rename this USB port, USB PCB, make a new folder, USB flash drive, we'll call it. Drop that in here. Turn off the sketch, and then we have something to design around. So what do we want to make? I think just a basic rectangle sketch, just like my examples. We'll just get that started so I can show you how to get going. Nothing special. So we just want to make a rectangular box around this. If I wanted to sketch it out, let's hop back to desk, blue USB, PCB. Alright, so I already have this drawing in Onshape. I can work around it quite easily. Let's just go to this page here, and I will draw kind of the same thing. Not perfect, but close. And I'm going to see if I can grab another color marker real quick. I don't feel like using this green one. Alright, I got some options. We'll see what works. So if I wanted to draw a case, and let's put something under this so I got an ink blotter. Don't want to ruin my next page. I already have this in Onshape. I just want to make a rectangular case. The outline of my case is going to look something like this purple I don't know if you can really tell a difference between the purple and the black. And I'm just going to make a rectangle. The biggest thing that we have to concern ourselves with is how we can fit this in a void space. So the first step for us is to use the line work that we already have from this 3D model, and we're going to use project this outline. After we do that, we're going to try offsetting it. So offsetting this will allow us to make an outline. So I'm going to use this thinner blue line as my outline. The purple line will come last. That could be anything. It doesn't need to be a rectangle. And the hope is if it's a connected shape, we'll end up with a solid area that looks like what I'm filling in right now. And my drawing's not the best, but it'll do. Now, if this goes all the way up to the USB, this should suffice. We would be able to make a case that works just like this. What I am also going to try to do is try to put some little holders in the notches right here. I don't have too much space to work with, so that may not work out. But those little notches are going to keep us from having that circuit board rip right out of the case when we have it printed and in the case. So our first step is use project. Then after we do our use project, we're going to tinker around with offset. And then, kind of the world's our oyster, we just design a case. That seems pretty simple. Now, most folks that are in my class, you have the circuit board. So if I sketch this green area in with like a horrible crosshatch, because I don't have a green marker, you already have this. You have the USB port. So all we got to start with is that use project. Again, I need to make a wrap about it. And then offset will come later. So we're going to put this over here. Or maybe, actually, I will move back to CAD. And I'll try to position this so that I can actually have it kind of in view. What would in view be? That's good there. All right. I guess I should read who's followed me so far. Pretty solid. Case the Second, thanks for the follow. Zero Raw Heat Zero, thank you. Alvin DB, Marcus the Gamer, Pigu. This is ridiculous. 2020, we're doing it. Alright, so back to Onshape. I got my little checklist right here. We want to start with a new sketch. Now the easiest way to work, we could make a sketch on like the top or bottom surface of our USB circuit board. That'll make it a little bit too complex for us later on, so we are actually, once I hop into isometric, we're just going to make a sketch on the top plane. Now we go to my best friend, use Project Convert tool, hit U on your keyboard. I'm going to click on the circuit board, and I will click on the port. Now we kind of don't need them anymore, so I can turn them off in my parts list in the left, and we can hop back into our top view. So as I said, we have use project. We've done that. Great. We can check that off. Now we can reference our old USB parts, but we don't need them in view anymore. And what I am going to do is I'm going to go to offset. So offsets, oh, it looks like Snoopy. It's up in the top. We can click on that. And I'm not going to offset the port. There's no sense in offsetting the port because it'll give us lines we don't need. But I will start clicking around. And I could probably like marquee select. Yeah, I could try it. All these lines. There we go. So it looks like I have a little error here. I think that's because I don't have this line selected. I'll click that. Perfect. We should be good to go. So this dimension here, if I hit enter, it's 5 millimeters. In most cases that you've seen me design, this offset. So again, we're making an air gap between the circuit board and the case, this little blank space right there. Making a hollow space. It's like 1 millimeter to 1.5 to 2. With my 3D printer now, we should be able to get away with 1 millimeter. Fingers crossed. And we'll keep it there. So if I hit enter, and I exit out of my tool, the line work looks decent. There's one weird squirrel down here. We'll delete that. And then now I need to trim that away with scissors. I should be ready to go. We've done our use project. Now we've done offset. We're quickly checking off our lists. Now we need a designer case. Now, just to make this simple for y'all, we're going to make it a rectangle. So I'll do, should I do corner rectangle? I could do a corner rectangle, why not? I'll just kind of wing it. You can do whatever you want. You can offset again as well. You could use the line tool. There are many ways you could do this. I am going to make this 2. Yeah, let's actually not do it this way. Let's just do offset. Less work for me. I like that. Keep it simple. So offset, I'm going to select all these outer lines automatically. Onshape's going to set it to 5 millimeters. That's a little too much for us. That's a waste of material. So we're going to set it to 2. And again, if we look at our sketch, we're looking at that purple space to design right now. So I don't know if I can actually touch it if I bring it over a little bit closer to me. This area right here, right where my finger is, that is the purple space right now. This area right here is the purple space. That's our air gap right inside where I can't actually touch. That's our circuit board right in here. So as a sketch, it looks pretty decent right now. And what I need to do, we should be able to extrude it. So if you look here, I've moused over this area, this space, and I can actually just select everything but where the circuit board port is. If it was lit up in this area as well as here at the same time, then we would have to add some additional lines and play around with it. But because this is working the way it is, I like it. Let's just extrude it. And I should be able to extrude it. Let's just do, I don't know, 2.5 millimeters for now. I probably want it to be more. Let's take a look. And I'm going to turn off some of my planes because I don't really need them anymore. Okay, hit the check. I think that's going to be decent for half the case. I could make it like a little bit bigger. Let's just go all the way. 4.5 would be all the way. No, really? Let's check on that USB port. What is it here? 4.5? Yeah. Extrude here. Oh, 3.5. Doi. There we go. Now at some point I probably want to make that a little bit bigger so it goes over the port. Yeah, if it's like 4.6 maybe. Yeah, this all looks good. So we can close that. We can turn these off. Let's turn that sketch off for now. Now we're going to start with the bottom and then we'll work our way to the top. I'm going to simplify this so that our top piece is literally just a rectangle that we say glue over top. It's not going to be a hollow piece. Again, keeping it simple. Let's rename this case bottom wall. And we know it's an extrude. I don't have to put extrude in there because that's the little icon for extrude. I'm going to turn sketch 1 back on to reference it again. And I'm going to make a new extrusion. We're going to make it an extrude add. And I'm just going to select all of sketch 1. And we're going to flip it in the opposite direction. The merge scope, we're going to have it merge with our case bottom wall. But in selecting everything, one issue we run into is it's also selecting the USB port, which I do not like. Now, a quick way to probably fix this without like undoing a ton of stuff is I can just use the scissors and trim away this use project line. So just so y'all can see that, this was sketch 1, and I can trim away these lines so we're not referencing the USB port anymore. I'm going to delete these points. So we'll save out of sketch 1. Alright, now I have that hollow, which I also don't like. So if we go back into extrude 3, let's select these inner areas of the sketch. And let's select this last little piece right here. Oh. There we go. And let's make the depth of this, we could probably get away with 1.5. Again, this is going to be the bottom of the case. I'm not looking at my parameters for how thick walls could be on my printer or with Cura. We'll check it in Cura in a couple minutes. If I hit check and turn off sketch 1, we now have a working part for our case. So turn off sketch 1 again, turn on our circuit board. We have this ready to go. Now, what's great, I could just be done with this. I could also edit my sketch 1 so that the outer line here is something different, a different type of design. I can add as much complexity as I want. For us right now, I'm not going to do that. Let me take a sip of coffee, a little coffee break. Okay. So we have part 3 right here. I'm gonna rename part 3 to case bottom, just simple. And we will rename extrude 1 or whatever it was, extrude 3. We'll call it case bottom. We could call it cap, but that might get confusing. We could wall. We'll call it wall. And then let's rename the top one to side. I think that kind of makes sense for right now. Let's also make a folder called case. And we'll just move everything in there, if it lets me. All right, cool. So now that we have this, we're gonna make our top. We're gonna make the cap that goes over this. Let's just edit this really, really quick and make it 4.6. I think it'll just give us enough on the 3D printer space if this USB port is bigger than I actually measured, or if the printer tolerance is off a little bit, so this part's bigger than I've designed in Onshape. Alright, top of the case. Let's just call this case bottom, new folder case top, and inside that we can make a new sketch. New sketch I'm going to make on the top of the case bottom part. So I just clicked again on this outline here. I'm going to turn off USB port and USB PCB, so we're only working with the case right now. And my favorite tool is use project. We're going to click on this outline. EAG1224, thanks for following. And Jack, thank you for following. I am going to use project. I'm going to click on this outline. Again, we have this outline here, and I can turn off my case bottom. So again, we're designing the case top. So I've used use project. I have that outline. I'm going to click delete. Can I delete that? Oh, that's the origin point. I can't delete that. Let's just get rid of it. I'm going to make a line, and we're going to make this an enclosed shape. This is like the simplest thing ever. With this, we're done with the cap. All we got to do is extrude. So I can make an extrude. I'm actually going to click on Sketch 2, so I'm extruding all of Sketch 2, and then we could make this 1 millimeter. I'm going to make it 1.5, just so it has like a little bit of thickness. And I will rename it to case top. Again, we know what's going on based on the icons next to everything. The little squares and extrude, the pencils, the sketch. And then down here, I can rename this part 4 to case top. And we pretty much have a case right now. I mean, we got a top, we got a bottom, we got a USB port and our USB PCB. Let's turn off the top. And we can edit appearances. So I got a gray port. And then I have a green PCB. Now, for most projects, we still want to have something in here to hold the PCB in place. And I have these like really tiny notches. I don't know if it's going to focus on it. If I make this full screen, maybe I can... What I need to do, if I wanted to, and I may not do it this time, is design something to kind of pinch against this notch right here. In some circuit boards, and even on this one, I could use a set of clips, and I could snip the clip out. I could, sometimes they have solder in them. I could desolder them. That's the case on either side here. One side I would snip, one time I would desolder. But I think for this, I'll try to add like a little tiny thing in there. I don't know if it's going to work. The little tiny thing that I'll add, if we head back to CAD here, basically right here in my case. I want something just to rest in there, just barely. Now, way I could do that, I'm going to go back into case bottom. And we're going to turn off the ports. We'll leave the PCB on for a minute. I'm going to make a sketch, and I'm going to make it on the inside of my case. Now, I don't know if any of this is going to work. I am going to use project the PCB onto that sketch. So if we turn off the PCB part, now I can see that outline. And now that I have this notch in the sketch, I can try to design something, anything, that mates with that notch. So I'm just going to use the line tool. I could use the rectangle tool as well. Why not? A little simpler. Now that notch is about like 0.5 millimeter, 0.5 millimeters. None of this is going to be perfect, but I need that wall to at least be from top to bottom here, and my face is blocking it. 1 millimeter from here to here, just for that wall to print, and we'll check that in Cure in a minute. So again, I'm designing around this notch. Now if I use the line tool, make a construction line, here's my midpoint right here. I should be able to mirror this right on over. And it's really hard to see, but now I have a little area there, a little bit area there that I can extrude. And let's turn off the desk, because you don't need to see the desk anymore right now. So I can do an extrusion of this rectangle and this rectangle. Again, they're on that base of the case bottom. If I want to extrude all the way to the top, I think I made that 4.5, or roughly the height of the USB port. And right now it's an extrude add, which is what we want. The merge scope is the case bottom. So I should be able to hit the check. And just to clean these up, whoa. Let's deselect everything. Let's add this into case bottom folder. And I don't know exactly what to call these, but we'll call them like notch holders. Call them pinchers, I don't know. Let's just hit enter. Okay, so oh, did I do that right? Yeah. Extrude out. That's good. Now, in real life and in the project itself, we did a couple extra steps to make sure this was right. Before even going anywhere with designing a case, we were checking to make sure this was the right size. And we did that by printing it out. The same thing goes for case bottom here. What I am going to do, hopefully it actually works, is I am going to create a drawing of the PCB. I'll make it 4-view. It is a regular size sheet of paper, millimeters. P. Cagney, thanks for the follow. So I have this 4-view drawing. What I'm going to do very quickly now is I can hopefully print it. Hopefully my printer's working. I haven't used it in a little bit. So I'm going to print this. I'm going to make sure that it's at 100%. Ay, ay, ay. Oof. And I'll trust it. I will trust it. We'll see if that wakes up the printer in a sec. Now, yep, there goes the printer. Now what I'm also going to do, I also want to try printing case bottom. Now this is where most folks have been, or what we would do before we try printing it. So anyone that hands in stuff this week, I'm probably going to try printing everybody's cases on a sheet of paper before I actually print them in real life. But I am in the process of actually like printing out parts, and we'll get into that in a second, what that looks like here in my little like workstation. So I need to make a drawing of case bottom, create drawing of case bottom, 4 views, hit OK. And I am just going to hit print on this too. And we'll see what we get. Ooh, pop-up blocked. Always allow. Take 2. Alright, got a second print. I'll be right back. Alright, so for the PCB, I messed up one step. Let's turn on desk. I forgot to actually make it 1:1, so it's like way bigger than it actually is, probably 2:1. So we hop back in CAD, USB PCB drawing. I should have noticed that on the screen, but this whole streaming thing's new to me. But 1:1, hit check. All right, that's good. Let's just hit refresh. And print again. Now while we let that print, let us take a look at the desk again. Hilarious. Twitch is hilarious. And now I'm going to grab that. All right, now we're cooking. And for any of you that are watching, just remember in my email, if you're my student, you can hop into my Google Meet to chat if you have any questions. I kind of turned off chat for a while, so about 3 months you'll be able to chat, and then I'll probably make a new account. Alright, so checklists. We've designed a case. So we used use project, used offset, we've designed a case. Now hopefully all this is recording, so like all of this stuff I'll be able to post to YouTube or something like that at some point. So you see every single step that we took in Onshape. clean up the desk a little bit. We don't need this drawing because it's wrong. Now, this is the circuit board. Whoa, I'm way off. I wonder what I got wrong there. It looks like in the front I'm good, but I definitely need to extend my two little tines back here by quite a bit. That's at least like 2 or 3 millimeters. Let's look at the case. I mean, I could just make the case bigger. That's the beauty of all this. I don't have to go back to the circuit board. But that looks like it should work. I just need to make this wall a little bit farther out. I did use project, so it's going to make sense just to go back to the circuit board sketch and change that. So I got my digital calipers. Let's turn them on, zero them out. I need a distance from here. And it could have been I was measuring on an angle or something out like that. 26.4. What did I say in my notes? $26.4. Weird. Alright, let's hop back into Onshape. So USB flash drive, I can go back into my top view, 26.4. Whoa. What am I measuring wrong? Let's see. $26. Because that's like... I really wonder why it's so shrunk. Did I get my... that's sheet properties 1:1. Oh, you know what? It definitely got messed up on the printer. Alright, let's go print again. I feel like that's the problem. How can I do more settings? Quality, scale, I want it to do default, or can I do custom? Let's just try again. We'll see what we get. Because maybe it scaled it just a tiny bit. Alright, another piece of paper. I'll be right back. This is more like it. Okay. So that's exactly pretty much spot on. Let me get my headphones back on. I don't think I can zoom in at all with this camera. I can try. No. I can just make it bigger for y'all to see. Because I don't have like too much more space or like arm length for this camera. But if we look at it from above, that looks like pretty much about right. I don't see that like any better. I could make the drawing a little bit bigger, the circuit board a little bit bigger, but I'm gonna deal with it. So if I go back into the CAD, and you can turn off my document camera, I should double check this one more time, actually, this drawing. Make sure that I'm printing it 100%, because the last thing I want to do is like print this and waste some material and wonder what was going on, and it just be I forgot to do a second check. Alright, so I'm gonna hit print. Crumple that paper. I should warm up my coffee. Flip back to the desk. Alright, new printout here. Plenty of space. Now, I don't think my little notches, the little rectangle there and there, are actually going to do anything for me. But we'll see. And another thing that I didn't really deal with at all, we'll also see what happens, is how much USB port I have exposed. I always forget what the actual depth is. It says it on Wikipedia. That looks about right, and we can match it up with like a little adapter that I have right here and see if we're good. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna be fine. Cool. So that gets a check. Now what we are going to do, so I've made a drawing of my top view. I'm just gonna put some basic dimensions on it. That's in inches though. I don't like that. I forgot to switch to millimeters. So if I hit dimension of this, that's good. I just want to get like a length, a width, and then we'll do a basic height here. And if I wanted to get a little detailed, I could say like, hey, that's 4.6 and that's 12. So basic kind of stock USB dimensions. If I also wanted to get fancy, I should be able to do show shaded view, and whatever color I have will show up there. I only have white filament. I do have some other colors, but we'll deal with that. So I have a drawing in my case bottom. Head back into Part Studio, close this sketch, and let's create a drawing of case top. This is what you would essentially be handing in on Haiku at the end of the week. These two drawings, just so that we could print them out exactly like I just did and get them going. I'm going to flip this back to CAD. So for case bottom drawing, I just dimension a couple things. Hit the dimensions up here. Dimension length, width. Up here. Did some extra drawings. Show shaded view on this guy right here. Where is it? Right there. Made it blue. But again, I only have white, so it doesn't really matter. This is the top. It's literally just a rectangle. Doesn't matter all too much, but if we were to dimension it, length, width, and height. It's also interesting on the isometric view up here. I should also be able to dimension this, but that's wrong. I forget how to do dimensions on that. I'm not going to concern myself with it right now, because that's actual, that's foreshortened. We don't want to deal with that. So these two drawings, we can export them. You can export them as a PDF. You can hand them in. Just make sure your name's on them. If we go back to Part Studio 1, and we can call this case one glue, because I would glue it together probably when I'm done. Flip back into isometric. I got everything I need. Now I can hit export on the case bottom. And I have it as STL, I have it as millimeter, resolution medium's fine, and I'm just downloading this. If I hit OK, it's going to download the case bottom as an STL, and then I'm going to hit export again, do the same thing with the top. Now what I want to do, and I should set it up in a second. This is my 3D printer. I'm not going to move the camera too much, but maybe I should put some tape on the table. This is what the printer kind of sort of looks like. Alright. Flip it on, and my printer is different from the ones at school. It's much smaller. It's pretty decent though. I'm gonna set it to preheat. You can barely see it right now, but I'm just gonna set it so that our print starts up a little faster. And then let's try and move this guy back here. Let's see what we get. That's a decent view. So hopping back to our CAD, I exported those STLs. That's something you would hand in to me on Haiku. And my printer's just going to start up. I should probably turn down some of my audio. I think it's just going to kind of be that way, unfortunately. I'm going to go to my downloads. I have my two STLs. My version of Cura is a little bit different. It's not made for Lulzbot. It's not green, doesn't have the Rocktopus or anything like that going on. This is like Cura, the original version of Cura for Ultimaker, so it's very blue and just looks the way you see it right here. This is a representation of my print bed you saw a second ago, and the parts are just kind of like automatically laid out in here. What I will do, I'll move them a little bit closer together. It's not going to affect the print time all that much. And I'm going to rename this Clev USB Twitch 03/18/2020. And if we hit the good old slice here, yeah, all the settings are pretty much the same. Let's just make sure I don't have any post-processing in. Yeah, let's delete this. This is to pause the printer. We would get a failed print if that was still on, because it would... I paused it previously to add the magnets and such in. We're not doing it at this time. You know what? Let's play around with the settings a little bit. I want to make, because it just looks way cooler, instead of lines, let's do concentric. It just looks much higher quality. And then let's slice it. 32 minutes, that's not bad. So what I need to grab, I have an SD card that's attached to my printer. I'm going to grab that, make my way over to the other side of the PC. And I have my handy dandy SD card reader. Plug that on in. Take a sip of coffee while it boots up. Ooh, Steam notification. You can't see it though because I'm blocking it. Thank goodness. I should turn that off. If I go to save to removal here, it's going to save that to the SD card. I have some other files in here. Let's just put that back. I need to rename this. flower pot. Because there's one that's named similar to it in there. All right. So I have my G-code file. Again, Cura, it takes our STLs, it slices it up. And then we can export as a G-code. One thing I should check before I actually get this thing on my printer, on Cura for Lulzbots, there's a little drop down up here. It says layer view, I believe. Excuse me. I have a preview, and basically this is going to give me a preview of what my print looks like. I can hit play. It's telling me what's going on this top layer here. I don't really care. What I do want to look at, and what I'm going to zoom in on if it lets me, my little notches, because they're the smallest feature on my print. And it looks like they're actually printing, so we're good to go with that. And I've saved it. Let's just do eject. And I have, again, a little SD card extender, so I can plug in the SD card on my printer. We're already preheating the printer, so hopefully it'll be faster to start printing. And I'm going to go to print here, find my G-code file, and then we'll cross our fingers and see how well this turns out now. Now my hope again is that this is all recording. If this isn't recording and I can't hack it up, I'll just have to do it again, but I feel like I feel like it's saving somewhere. I hope it's saving somewhere. I think this is it right here. I hope at the end when I hit stop that it's one of these right here. No, that's not it. I think it's somewhere else. But YouTube was not working earlier. All right. So now we're just kind of chilling. I may go warm up my coffee real quick. My printer's warming up. My dog's not here. I may grab my dog real quick and just have her say hi. So I will be right back. I don't know why dock camera's not working. I'm very curious. Doggo break. Is desk working? Yeah, it stopped working. Weird. Don't need it anymore, so it doesn't matter. Alright. So the printer's getting set up. I will be back in just a sec.
Actually are doing it in, what is it, Rockwell, PK? PK? Is that Rockland or Rockwell? Rockland.
see how we're doing, how messed up this thing might be. Oh, we're actually doing pretty good. Okay, cool. Throw out my headphones. We're doing that first layer. It's really hard for you to see, I think. I'm gonna make it bigger and see. The first layer on my printer, it almost looks transparent. So it's a little bit too thin, and it's smushed out because again that print head is like way too close to the bed. So like if this is our little print head essentially, I'm way too close. It's like my hot glue gun's right against the bed and everything's oozing out real flat like a really thin pancake. I could adjust the bed settings so that the bed is a little bit further away from the hot end. I'm not going to do it just because I would rather have good adhesion than mess up. I have some hairspray that also helps with adhesion. I sprayed it yesterday. I did a batch print yesterday. A few of my students' prints initially had some bad extrusion, and I was, or not really extrusion, really just like bed adhesion, and the hairspray kind of helped with that. And I'm using white PLA. It's some like really old white MakerBot PLA. I think this stuff's like almost 5 years old. I'm just trying to get rid of it. I did buy some new like white PLA, and I just got in some like super cool other varieties. I'm not going to grab it because it's still in the box. I need to tweet about it actually. I got something called polypropylene, which will allow me to do like living hinges. So the best way to describe what that will maybe allow me to do is like if I printed something like this case. This case is injection molded, not printed. A living hinge is what allows it to open and close. So with the polypropylene on the printer, I might be able to do that. I also bought some flexible filament. They're both by Fiberology, I believe. And I'll be able to maybe print some smaller flexible parts with that. So we'll see what that looks like when I get there. What would be interesting, and I can kind of bring it back to the CAD maybe, is like I could design a case like this, right? Where this top piece and this bottom piece are actually connected to each other and then they fold together with the polypropylene. Will I get to it? Maybe sometime soon, but at least right now I just want you to understand how to go through this process. And I guess while we're waiting for this thing to print, there's the desk camera. Desk camera's working again. I can do CAD. I will turn on the printer camera just so it's in the corner. For those of you that weren't here a little bit earlier, I modeled my circuit board. So I measured it and made my sketch. I made my extrudes, and then I transformed the circuit board so it was in the right-ish position. The biggest piece of the puzzle, which most folks have, is I needed to project the PCB onto a new sketch. So this outline right here. And if we flip to desk mode, I made like a quick drawing here. There were a couple steps that we went through. The first step was Use projecting, which we already talked about. After use project, we did offset. Now, offset is so that we can start this air gap, this non-purple area between the green and the purple that's clear. What that looks like in the CAD, it's this little area right here. Now, all I did was I offset using little Snoopy guy up here. Oh, I offset these lines and cleaned it up using the snizzers, hilarious, skizzers. And then in order to actually like make the case itself, I needed to make an outer line to start this purple area right here. So that in the actual CAD, I made another offset. The first offset was 1 millimeter, and then the second offset for the outer line of the case was 2. Once I did that, just because I'm wasting time while this thing prints, I started an extrude, and I initially extruded, if it decides to load, I extrude, oh, I need to turn on case bottom. I initially extruded just the sidewalls. Now I extruded it to 4.6 just so it's a little bit taller than the actual USB port. And then after that, I extruded a wall on the bottom of those sidewalls to give it like a cap, like a bottom facing cap. And I think y'all can kind of see that here. Let me just move this over because we're like kind of out of view. And I'm keeping it super simple. I'm just making like a rectangular case. You can go wild with it, but just so I can get the points across, making it simple. All you really need is that. You just need these 2 extrudes, this 1 sketch. I did add this additional sketch and extrude for the notches of the circuit board. So again, like in the PCB itself, I have these 2 little notches right down here. So I just drew them in and extruded them. Nothing too fancy, just 2 rectangles mirrored across. Now the biggest thing we have to do at this point is make a drawing of the case bottom. I did that here, and then I printed it out and did a self-check on the printer. Because we're not in actual school anymore, I will do this, but this is what you're going to be handing in on Haiku. And the way you make a drawing, again, is you click on the part you want to make a drawing of, right-click or 2-finger click on the touchpad. You can do create drawing of case bottom, make it 4 views, size A is correct, millimeters is great. I'm not going to make it again, but essentially it'll make this. Now for the top of my case, the other half of my case, just to keep it simple, all I made was a rectangle that I'm going to glue on there. Case top, that's on there, we're good to go. After you got those 2, you can export. Make sure your units are millimeter, your STL, binary, and you want to export all the cases, or all the case parts that you want me to print, upload them to Haiku. And you're good to go. Let's take a look at our prints. So we're getting in a couple layers. No real issues with this print so far. Good, decent extrusion. You can see like there's a little skirt, that outline right there. Actually, I forget if that's a skirt or a brim. I always forget. My brain's fried at this point in time. Just a little scatterbrain. And then you'll see there's like a little wisp of material over there. And in the corner, that's ooze from when we do our preheat. The Lulzbot printers, they do a wiping function, and they have like a little scrubby pad, like a little sponge. It actually wipes that away. Mine doesn't have anything fancy like that, so it just goes back and forth on that far edge over there, does a little line, and then it gets into printing. Yo, Egg McMaster, thanks for the follow. Sorry I don't have chat. We gotta wait 3 months for chat, and then I'll probably make a new account. But again, for those of you who are my students, I do have a Google Meet chat that I sent out in my email earlier. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I would say right now is the point in time for that. Xena. Hey, you want to say hi? Heavy girl. This is my dog. She's chilling. She doesn't like it. Alright, thanks, Xena. Hey, who's this? Harrison? How's it going? It's still going. It's been pretty solid. I got a case designed. Went through the whole process. I hope it's recording on my computer. I hope when I hit end recording, it actually saves. Because is it Onshape or is... Oh, because it's a while ago? The printer. Yeah. Once I print this one, which is going to take 30 minutes, I should actually set yours up to print. Let's head back to CAD. Alright. I don't care about this. Hopefully this saves. Are you actually gonna save? Okay, there we go. Clear, build clay, and then... You're fine. I'm gonna start getting yours set up. Thanks for stopping by. See ya. Alright, so let's see. Download. Alright, let's go into the shark. And let's export that. STL. Now we got that. Oh, just like a little bit too big. Let's see. Can I rotate? Oy. How is that not working? Is that out of the bounds? That doesn't make sense. Oh, I'm in preview. Prepare. There we go. Let's actually undo a couple times. Alright, yeah, that doesn't fit. Let's rotate this. Now I'm curious to see how this looks. Should still be on the same setting as last time. In terms of concentric, that might look like real weird. Yeah, I don't know if I like that. And pattern just looks strange. Let's see what else we can do. Let's make this bigger. Shell. Lines. Could always boot up Prusa Slicer and see what other strange stuff we can get. Yeah, this looks way better. I like this. Two hours. That's not too bad. I may have to actually like leave after I get done with this stream to go out and save some fish from another school. So, I may save this for either later today or tomorrow. I also want to see if I can pop another part or two in here. But I can at least save this. And I hope, oh yeah, we did already, we pre-printed that at school, so like we hacked it apart and printed just a smaller piece of it. Hopefully the tolerance change between my printer and the Lulzbots is fine. It should be cool because mine prints generally a little bit more detailed, a little bit better. That could not be good for us, but should be good for us. Man, I'm curious what this looks like on the stream. I have it open in the background somewhere. Ben, are you there? I was just saying, hey. What's that? Of? What are the beats from? I may do that tomorrow. I feel like today's stream was well received, even though the max people I had was like 12 people. I think. I mean, I got Minecraft on here. Let's see. Hey, here we go. It's on the stream. Yeah, tomorrow I gotta sign in, and there we go. Ready to go. It's super. No, I should really look. What do I got here? Mineways. I'll get the software. Literally all I'd have to do is have a Flatland world, and then I could download the map, which will be on my computer anyways, and load it into Mineways, and then I could 3D print from Minecraft. What I do need to do is start yelling at YouTube, because I would much rather stream on YouTube, but I guess Switch will work for now. Switch seems to be okay. Or Twitch. Yeah. Like I thought this was an educational stream. Why are we looking at Minecraft and Mineways? Because it's educational and it's a way to 3D model. That sucks. Alright, Mineways. Oof. Okay, more info. We're gonna run it anyways. Okay, so I can set it up later. I should. No, no, I'm not opening up the server. What I could do, I mean, I would have to ask permission. I could probably do it some way. I'll ask. Because that would be really cool if, like, I mean, the bigger issue is, like, not every student has Minecraft, right? So, like, it's not something every student could work on. That would be hilarious. A free Minecraft account. Yo, we should email petition Minecraft. Every student gets a Minecraft account. Alright. Tweeting YouTube. I have had a lot of issues setting up streaming today. So, can you provide any assistance with AutoMod? AutoMod's blocking or shutting down my stream. Note, I am just trying to stream me doing work at my desk, 3D modeling for my students. I really don't. Your auto mod. Alright, let's see how we're doing here. Looks like we've got like the inside of the cases started. Starting to get that hollow area. Probably about like 75% done. Oy. I'm quite surprised that there's still people like watching this thing. It's kind of cool. It's like, because I can see there's Commander Root, there's Crazy Cynical, EAG, Electrical Longboard, Rubber Slayer, Virgo Pros, Windsock. I don't know. I don't even know who these users are. It just says like users in chat. If I refresh the page, it might be different. You might. Are you logged in? That's why it doesn't show you. Yeah. I'm gonna switch the camera to show it so it shows a couple things going on at the same time. I think they have some Ed puzzles or something. Can I do 3D printer coming at you live from E111? Yeah. Whoops. Or printing upside down. The mill. All hail the 3D printer. looks like we're about like 90% for the print. And then I think once this print's done, and once I give it a good old check, we're gonna call it a day. I gotta check my email. So I got a bunch of emails that I still need to check. I'm just checking my emails. I still think. Aha! The print is done. Alright, so let's just go full on 3D printing. Let me clear some of my desk space. Get my little paint spatula. Oh, that piece is gone. It went for a trip, and I don't know if I'm gonna get it. I'll be right back. I gotta go look for it. Oh, not too bad. Found it. Alright, let's take a look. Desk. Get my headphones back on, turn off the good old printer because we don't need it right now. What I should do is figure out a way to get this camera closer. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, I could move it. Problem is I can't tell if it's like focused all that well. It's kind of hard to see stuff. So we're looking at it from above. White balance is weird. If I turn off that light, does that help? How about this light? That light doesn't help. If I change the color of the light, oh, if I turn that down. What I need is like a shade. Kind of hard to get in here. It's so bright. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, gotcha. Kinda. Alright. Changing the settings on the camera a little bit. That kinda worked. Alright, moment of truth. Let's see if this fits. Yep. Just barely. Okay, so we got a working case basically. Now all we need to do is take a little bit of super glue and super glue the top right on there, and we got a case that works. Let's change the settings a little bit for the camera. It's not letting me do anything. Yeah, whatever. We'll leave it at that. Alright, so what I can do now, hop into my bin down here. I got some glue in there. Got some good old super glue. I will probably crack this apart for another case in the future. Let's turn on a light. Not going to use too much glue because I want to be able to break it. Probably a dab in each corner is probably more than enough. Maybe a little bit there. Add a little bit there and there so we don't get a heave. Close that up. Which way looks good? I like this side better. Put that on there. Try not to get any super glue on my fingers. Probably need to keep it clamped for a minute. And I could have given myself a little bit more space for the USB port, it looks like, but it'll do. This is going to do all around. I got myself a USB case. Not too shabby. Pretty simple. Close that. Set this as default. Hit OK. Hit OK. OK. And then if we look at CAD, turn on my dot camera again. Turn pretty much got it. Awesome. All right, desk. Leave that there. Close up this stuff. Keep my desktop a little bit clean. Hey, Eric. Alright, I'm going to turn off the stream because I'm pretty much done. So folks that have watched, thank you. I'm going to flip into office hours for a minute and be done. Alright.